Ho ho, whoop up, whoop up, 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 up. All right. All right, party people, here we go. Yet another live stream. Thank you so much for joining me. This time the live stream will be all about Ableton 10. Now check this out. We're going to have a little trip right now. Check this out. Oh, 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 okay. So we're gonna leave it on the flesh color, and today's live stream is all gonna be dedicated to all the new features available to us in Live 10, coming out February 6th. So this is a nice little beta. First feature is obviously the most important one, and that's groups within 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 within groups within groups within groups. So yeah, you could basically have an unlimited number of groups within groups. So in this last little group down here, I'm gonna actually put in some drums. And I have my own custom drum kit that I recorded in a studio when I was doing some indie rock stuff with a friend. So here's how my drum kit sounds. Um, right, so a nice little generic kick, snare. How are the volumes here? Let's just take a listen. Okay, a little decent volume. So let's just come up with the real shitty drum beat. Boom, ba, boom, boom, ba. And check it out. It recorded it for me using the Ableton's new capture feature. It automatically records everything you do, like the NSA, and then just makes a better version. So that's a really bad generic drum beat. So let's try something a little different. Let's try a little faster. That's not great either, but you know, I guess we're just gonna have to work with this. So I'm just gonna loop this, and oh wow. And let's just take a look. So let's just go ahead and make some fun little sounds here. So, okay, let's do that. Cool, let's just put a hi-hat on every quarter note. I promise it'll be worth it in the end because I want to show something that's unique to Live 10. Okay. Maybe let's do the high kick. Cool. So now we have like a solid drum beat, but it just lacks character. It lacks warmth. It lacks power. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna introduce Live's all new drum bus plugin. So the drum bus is really cool. It's basically a compressor slash distorter, seemingly specifically made for drums. It's got a nice little comp built-in compressor with no settings. I like compressors with no settings because compressors always confuse me. And let's just go ahead and increase the drive here. Fucking crunchy. Oh my gosh. We can change the different levels of drivenness. Add a little crunch. Ooh. Oh, buddy. Here's another cool thing. It's got a built-in filter. Sounds real lo-fi, brothers and sisters. And this is really cool. The drum bus has its own built-in transient shaper, so we can make the kicks and snares that much more punchy. Oh, gosh. Okay, let's just create a duplicate here. Ooh, is this gonna be good? I don't know. Let's find out. Tika tika punka. Let's find out. That's kind of cool. And here's really cool stuff. You want that booty bass in your drums, you can actually increase the boom here. Ooh, and then the nice thing about the boom feature is that it allows you to quickly determine what note you want the boom to be. So I could have an A sharp right there, or I have it F1 plus. Wowzers. Cool, as you can see, we have all our groups properly laid out. I highly recommend you do this. Now that we have the option, it's super important you have at least 30 groups within groups for maximum groupage. You can actually select individual groups. Let's say we wanted 32 to be actually outside of 31, and then you just put that there. And you can create different colors for your groups. You can yellow group, pink group, poop group, slop group. Cool. Alright, cool. Let's go ahead and send this to a return. And on the return, I'm actually going to use another one of Live's new plugins. We have here the Echo. Let's go ahead and start sending. Whoa, shit. So here's what the Echo sounds like. It's seemingly analog modeled. We can add a little bit of noise here, a little bit of white noise. Ooh. Add some more distortion. The nice thing about this Echo plugin is that you can actually increase the feedback above 100% so that it starts feeding back in on itself. Check it. Holy shit! What the fuck? Make that wobble. Oh shit! Oh my gosh! It's everything I could have ever dreamed of. And let's see what else we got here. We got a ducking thing so that I guess when the original signal comes in, the echo is compressed a little bit. Let's see how that works. Ooh. Maybe a little bit of gate. So that the echo is only triggered on the loud parts of my signal, such as the kick and snare. Oh my gosh. Wow, it sounds absolutely incredible. Let's go ahead and take a little bit of the low end out. Beautiful. Now we need some of that booty bass, so let's go ahead and create a new MIDI track. Wait, what happened there? Oh, put the MIDI track in the groups. Alright. Obviously we have to group within group this MIDI track as many times as humanly possible, just to be safe. Extra layers of protection never hurt. And then what we're going to do now is, hopefully I didn't crash the whole thing. I might have crashed the whole thing. It's still grouping. Pray with me, guys. Oh boy. Is it done grouping? Still might be grouping. Oh, here we go. Everything's gonna be okay. Alright, so let's go ahead and add some booty bass here. And this time I'm actually, for the bass, I'm gonna use, yet again, another one of Live 10's new features, the wavetable. Wowzers. Okay, so let's check this out. Right now, wavetable is super generic, basic shape sound, simple sine wave, but check this out. Holy cheesies. So this is Live's answer to Serum, I assume. gotten a chance to play with this. It's definitely less feature-packed than Serum, but it's also kind of nice. It's a little bit simpler. It's the same idea, and you got all these cool shapes. Whoa, brothers and sisters. And then you could very easily actually modulate these shapes using 2 built-in LFOs and 3 envelopes. So let's real easily create that deep house wub. Let's just go ahead and go to our LFO, which we can just easily click on. Make this, oh, now it's wub and wub. Real Skrillex over here. Obviously change the amount. And here's the other cool thing. Got a bunch of different settings for FM, classic, and modern wavetable modulation. So we can actually map the amount here to the LFO as well very easily just by going to our matrix here. You'll notice that every time I click on a new parameter, it actually adds it to this bottom row here in our matrix so that we can very easily map new parameters. Holy shit, that sounds like ass. Oh wow. And let's say we also wanted to map the frequency. Let's go ahead and do the same thing. Okay, wow, that's an abomination right there. Let's just restart that. Let's do just a very simple sine wave. Maybe a little bit of harmonics there. And then let's actually go ahead and try out the unison feature. So a bunch of cool different unison settings. How are we doing on volume here? Let's just check it out. Okay, decent. Cool, so we're gonna make this nice and wide and check out all these different kind of voicing settings. We have shimmer, real pretty. Oh, sounds like ass. We have noise. Ooh. Freaky. I have phase sync. Whoa, sounds kind of phase out. This is really interesting. Position spread, I guess, changes the panning of the individual voices every time you retrigger the note. And then finally we have random notes. So I guess it plays a bunch of different random notes at the same time. I don't know what the deal with that is. That's interesting. Ooh, I don't know about that. Let's actually take the unison off for now. And let's actually go ahead and demonstrate yet another new feature of Live 10. Here we have the pedal. Cool, interesting distortion plugin. Whoa, oh shit. Kind of a 3-band EQ in the middle. Nice thing about it is that it allows you to actually bring up the sub frequencies so that when you're placing this on the bass, the low end doesn't get crushed. Whoa, cheesy. Let's hear it with the drums. Oh my gosh, that's terrible. Let's maybe add a bunch more voices there. Oh, it sounds like ass. Okay, you know what? Fuck the basic shapes. Let's do shimmer. Let's do a fucking sure. Wow. Oh my gosh. Boy, I'm really fucking this one up. Now let's re-add the pedal one more time, see if it sounds better on a sound like this. Oh my gosh. Holy shit. Oh my god. Okay, now that we got our fucking stupid ass chords, maybe now it's time to add some bass. And this could be a good opportunity to talk about another one of Live's new features, editing multiple MIDI clips at the same damn time, brothers and sisters. So let's go ahead and open this one up, and we're just going to call it, I'm just going to get a cool bass sound that I've already made in a different synth because I fucked that one up with the wavetable. Cool, so let's just go ahead and arm. So let's say I have this note here. I believe it's the root note of what we're doing here, C. Let's just fucking side chain this. Cool. Now we can actually edit multiple MIDI clips at the same time just by clicking and selecting two of them. And now, as you can see, it's got the dev bass, my bass note at the bottom here, and then the wavetable clip grayed out. And once we hover over it, it actually changes it to the color of that clip there. So very cool. What if we change it to a different color, say perp, and then now check this out. Oh, it didn't update. Huh, usually it updates. I guess it's based on the clip color. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. And here we can see now, check it out, the notes that are in blue are in a completely different track as that pink note. Pretty nifty, right? Pretty nifty. Okay, so this is ass right here, but we're just gonna keep going. Maybe let's see. I'm you know, I haven't given up on the pedal. I really want to make it work for all of us involved. So let's just try it one more time. There we go. And let's just extend this. Wow, that's some Hans Zimmer Dark Knight type shit. Let's make it real nice and wide by kind of whoopsie daisies. We're just going to use a plugin that I use for all my chorus effects. It's called Multiply. Oh shit. Alright, actually we're going to go back to the drums real quick, and we're actually going to create another track here, insert MIDI track. And this time what we're going to do to kind of beef up our existing drum pattern is by layering it with more clean electronic sounding drums, so we kind of get the best both worlds. We get that super analog flavor of a real acoustic drum kit, and then just some real disgusting big sounding kicks and snares. So once again, we're going to use Live's multiple MIDI clip editing feature to kind of make this happen. So ideally it should be able to let me look at both of these MIDI clips at the same time. Right, now check this out. Let's go ahead and place our kicks and snares over the existing kicks and snares of my drum rack here. I've never actually done this before. This is trippy. So kind of annoying that if you hover over the existing notes on a different track, it's going to automatically select those. Interesting. And so let's actually go ahead and move the drum bus so that it encapsulates both my electronic drums and the acoustic drum kit. So let's just hear that sound. Oh my god, this beats ass. Let's actually remove everything else here. Okay. Cool. That's gonna work. Cool. Here's what I'm going to do now. I'm actually going to create a new instrument entirely just using the echo as a sound source. And then I'm going to turn the character noise generator all the way up. And then we're just going to fuck with that a little bit. Make it real wide. And then we're going to get the compressor going here. We're going to get it from the drum rack. Cue that shit. Here's what we're doing. I'm just gonna vocode this noise here. Pitch tracking. No idea how a vocoder works. Let's go ahead and use the phaser here. How do I make this resonant? Let's try using Corpus. I've never used Corpus before. That's kinda cool. That's fucking sick. Let's go ahead and add... What haven't we used? Let's try the pedal. God, it's annoying. Jesus Christ. Oh my gosh. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna actually use... Oh my god, that's so fucking annoying. Holy shit. We're actually going to use one of Max... a Max audio effect. We're gonna use the LFO and we're gonna map it to the fine knob of my frequency shifter. So I just hit map and then hit fine, and then the fine knob will start oscillating up and down based on the rate that I set in this LFO here. So let's take a listen to how that's... Whoa, that's some crazy shit. Let's make it the rate sync to the clock here. That's fucking sick right there. Cool, now let's just put an auto pan here. Holy shit. This is probably the craziest instrument I've ever made. Holy. Yeah, boy. That's what I'm fucking talking about. Let's modulate the erosion here. Let's map that. Let's actually modulate this group here too, maybe somehow. Wowzers. Okay. Holy shit. Well, that was quite the journey. All right. So any questions so far about any of the stuff that I did um in Live 10? Is there anything specific that we haven't touched upon in Live 10? One thing I have noticed that's pretty fucking weird is that you'll notice that all of these clips are solid, right? They're all solid colors. So in this default mode here, Live makes no distinction between the kind of track title here that it usually does in Live 9 and the MIDI information towards the bottom. However, once you enable automation mode, it does make a distinction. And here's the weird thing. If I just highlight the MIDI file and not the track title and hit delete, it doesn't let me delete it at all. It's really annoying. You have to highlight both the MIDI clip and the clip title in order for you to delete stuff. Very strange. However, the cool thing is that now, by default, automation information is now snapped to grid. So basically, previously in Live 9, if I were to create a fade in here, the cool thing is that this here snaps to the grid here by default, which is really, really nice. No longer will you have to struggle and zoom in real quick just to make sure that these are perfectly on point when you wanted to do stuff that was kind of on the beat or at the end of the section. By default, automation snaps to grid, which is cool. Also true of the song tempo. The song tempo now by default snaps to a full tempo number, a whole number. Previously in Live 9, whenever you tried to automate the tempo, it would always come out to be like 137.6349 or whatever. Here by default, it actually goes to a whole number, which is real nice. Let's see. What else we got here? Cool thing for organization stuff is that you can actually put stuff in your favorites, and it doesn't really matter what it is. So if I just really like this woodblock sound, but I also really liked, for some reason, this ambient and evolving preset, I could just put them in the same favorites folder, and they're all there, which is cool. Let's see what else. Other cool feature. This is nifty. You can actually download packs within the program and just install it real quick or download it without ever actually having to go on Ableton.com. Pretty chill, pretty chill. Other than that, I'm struggling to think of anything else. Obviously, the biggest thing is groups within groups within groups within groups, motherfuckers. Cool. All right. So let's actually move on to the track roasting portion of the live stream. So feel free to send your tracks over to djunderbelly@gmail.com. All right. So I'm just gonna go ahead and open my Gmail. And then let's see what we have here today on this fine Sunday morning. You know, hopefully it'll be some more psytrance. I'm really hoping for psytrance. Here we have the Coder Man with Beat Cowbell for 4 beats. This is Beat Cowbell by the Coder Man. If you want to send in your track, please send it over to djunderbelly@gmail.com, and hopefully I will be able to get it for the show. No promises, though. All right. right, that was Beat Cowbell by 4/4 Beats, as we heard every 4 bars or so. Solid trap beat, good hi-hat programming, all that good stuff. Sounds were a little bit generic, somewhat preset-like. I think you could challenge yourself to kind of make something a little bit more unique than just the stock piano sound. Just try messing with some of the settings there. I would just personally avoid just opening up one of the presets in the program and just going with that, because I was able to tell. And then the other thing was the tag. I'm not quite sure if the tag needs to happen that much. I understand that you don't want people to steal your stuff, um, but yeah, I'm not really sure if it needs to happen that often. I think one or two tags would be enough there. But other than that, solid trapping or good interaction with kick and bass. Speaking of interaction between kick and bass, I noticed a lot of people in the comments asking about how to really make the kick and bass work together. Let me just quickly demonstrate that. Most of the time your kick is probably going to be hitting at a slightly higher frequency than your bass. Usually the kicks hit around 50 or 60 hertz, and the bass is kind of the subbier element in the mix there. So if we just look at the EQ here, you'll see that my kick is hitting around 59, 60 hertz. So what I do is I cut everything underneath that. And then also on the out. Right, so it sounds like ass right now because I'm modulating the song tempo here. Let me just fix that real quick. So basically what you want to do is first decide which instrument you kind of want to be on top. Do you want the kick to be the higher low frequency element or the bass to be the higher low frequency element? Most commonly the kick is going to be hitting at a slightly higher frequency than the bass. So what you do is you cut everything underneath, 50 or 60 hertz on the kick, and then just let that bass, in this case the dev bass, kind of take that super low end and really kind of give it that space, because it's really hard for more than one low end element to coexist in the sub frequency range. So right now, looks like in this case actually the bass is at a slightly higher frequency than the kick, but if we say took it down an octave, then we'd be kind of going in around 30 hertz, which is usually around where most sub basses live. Now, there are exceptions to this rule. For example, house music, you want that kick to be really, really, boomy for a lot of, say, industrial techno, and that's kind of the main element there. So in that case, the bass, if any, would kind of take a backseat. You'd probably EQ the bottom out of that bass to make room for the kick. But the central idea is to make sure that your kick and bass are occupying slightly different low frequency ranges. And if they are hitting it right on top of one another, then that's your cue to add a little bit of sidechain. Or, this is a plugin that I just discovered. It's called Track Spacer. It's a sidechain plugin, but you'll notice that, for example, if we just take a regular old sidechain here, you'll notice that whenever the kick is hitting, the entire bass track kind of goes down in volume. The entire bass track volume is ducked. However, with the Track Spacer plugin, let's just take a look at that real quick. Instead of ducking the entire signal, all the frequencies, it only ducks the frequency that the kick is hitting at. So the bass would only kind of give way around 60 hertz where the kick is hitting at, rather than the entire signal. And what that does is it creates kind of a more transparent effect where the ducking isn't so obvious, but you're still allowing that kick to cut through. So try checking this out. I've had a couple students use this. I haven't personally played with it myself, but they love it. And if you're finding that your kick and bass still aren't working together in quite the way you want them to, even after EQing and sidechaining, this could be the next logical step. Anyways, I got distracted. Let's go back to the roasting. This time we got Obish with Kanal Roa. Looks like it's Arabic. I'm not sure. Let's take a listen. So here we have Khan with some trip hop. Let's hear it. Yo, Khan, that was sick, dude. Got that super sick 90s Run Lola Run, tricky, massive attack type vibe. Awesome textures, great drum programming, really nice vibe. Would love to hear a B section to that if you have one. It is, a bit short for a full length song, but what you have there as a draft, as an idea, is very promising. Khan, thank you so much for sending that in. Let's move on to the next track. Here we have Shem Herman, please roast. I have kids to feed. Um, okay. Let's see what we can do. We have Shem with Flair. Trap Nation, baby. Let's go ahead and take a listen. that was Shem with Flair. Solid hashtag festival bullshit vibes. Yeah, that was really good. I mean, very well done. Got that song Holo Big, Coachella, Hairdresser, Go to Lightning in a Bottle with your college friends type vibe. Cool. Yeah, no, super solid mix. Sounds really big, really wide. Couple things that I noticed. First off, personally, I'm not a huge fan of the synth that you introduce at around 150. Where is it? Yeah, that. It's just a little bit too nasally for me. Maybe what you could do if you were really going for the mass appeal white girl festival vibe, you could add a little bit more vocal samples like you're using in this breakdown over here to kind of give it a more chorusy song-like effect. I mean, Han Solo does this to great effect, and he gets all the white girls. So if you want white girls, go ahead and maybe introduce a couple more vocal samples just to kind of embrace that pop flavor. And then just one thing I also noticed was that sometimes in this kind of latter section where you have like two competing melodies going in at the same time, and underneath that sometimes your kick is just getting a little bit lost due to the wideness of the synths. So just a couple things to think about. Overall, very solidly executed. Well done, Shem. All right, let's move on to Nick Povey. Future bass track for feedback. Looks like we got Dada instead. Sorry about that, Nick. I'll get you next time. Future for Proto. Uploaded 28 minutes ago. All right. So this is Pedant. I feel like I've roasted one of your tracks before, Pedant. Let's see what we got here this time. All right, that was Pendant with Future for Proto. Pendant, I don't know if you were listening to the track before this by Shem, but I think you could take a couple notes mixing wise. If you notice that I mean, you're going for a kind of a similar future bass sound. And if you notice that in the previous track, Shem's main synth sounded really, really big and wide, whereas this synth is just a little bit too quiet in the mix. It's kind of receding back behind the drums. So it could be a volume issue. It could be maybe the synth that you're using. If you're finding difficulties with that, I'm sure there's plenty of big Serum tutorials out there on YouTube on how to make that future bass wobble nice, wide, and fresh. Other than that, I just noticed there was a bit too much low end on the kick, a bit too subby. It seemed like the kick was hitting the same sub frequency every time, which is kind of problematic if you want to be harmonically consistent with the chords that you're choosing. You want the bass to play the root notes of those chords there. So really just kind of, take a look on YouTube. I'm sure there's plenty of Serum tutorials out there. Compare your track and reference it to tracks like Shem's, track like San Holo, stuff like that. And really just make sure that that mix is big, wide, and fresh, because that's a very important hallmark of this genre. All right, Pedant, great work. So real quick, thank you, my dad. Shout out to my dad for reminding me to do this. But I'm trying to get on Spotify, and unfortunately, the only way you can take control over your artist page on Spotify is to reach 200 or 250 followers. So if you guys don't mind, I'm going to really quickly ask you to follow me on Spotify. I know I sound like a huge asshole for doing this, but real quick, please, if you have an extra second, please just go ahead and hit the follow button on my Spotify. If I get to 200 or whatever, I'm allowed to change my photo to something a little bit less shitty, and also update my bio and stuff like that. So I'm going to just kind of copy the artist link here and paste it into the chat. If you guys can follow me on Spotify, that would be really appreciated. Thank you. Cool. Let's move on to the next track. Here we have. Sorry. Did I hit Dada? Okay. Ayodeli. I'm sorry. I totally butchered your name, I'm sure. Okay. So this is Pain by Rain. Uploaded 20 minutes ago. Do we have any funny tags? No. Just gray. Just pain. All right. This is Pain by Rain. All right, that was Pain by Rain. All right, so very chill, morose vibe. Obviously, I dug the Rain sample in the intro. I'm all sad inside. But there were a couple mixing things I noticed in this main section over here. First off, your clap slash snare is pretty loud relative to the kick. We want to make sure that both of those are about the same perceived loudness. So your kick wasn't quite cutting through in the way that it could be. And then in terms of arrangement, it is a little bit repetitive here in this section, in this middle section here. So I would see if there's any redundancies there, any kind of bars, sections that you might want to take out if they're exact duplicates, and then kind of tighten up the arrangement there and make sure that shit's happening quickly. And then the other thing I noticed was that it wasn't quite clear what was going on with the low end. It wasn't quite clear if the bass was hitting the root notes of the chords that you were playing, if it was just one bass element, or if there was some muddiness introduced by some other synths that might be present there. So just make sure that you're cutting the lows out of pretty much everything except your bass there. But other than that, solid work. Pain, Rain, Chick. All right, so let's go ahead and go to the next. We have Nick Bovi. See, I'd rather not download this one. If you guys can, please just send me SoundCloud links. We can get through this. Airblade, I think I had you before. Carl Prud. This guy promises Bitcoin. Okay, so this guy knows what he's fucking talking about. You guys got Bitcoin. You just give me all that shit. I'll roast you all day for Bitcoin. Here we have Cashmere. Make a little love. All right, that was Cashmere with Make a Little Love. Solid twonk trap vibes. Couple things I noticed. Your claps slash snare was a little quiet in the mix relative to your booty bass. Big booty bass. Speaking of booty bass, not quite always in key with your main sample there. So just make sure that that's always harmonically kind of in the same key, hitting the same root notes as the sample. And then the third thing I noticed was that your lead synth also wasn't quite harmonically uh, um, solid. It was a little bit out of key. It started sounding a little bit dissonant at times. So really make sure you know what key you're in, what chords you're outlining, and then I think that'll solve most of the issues. And just make sure that that mix is balanced, right? You might be cranking the bass a little bit too high, and kind of letting the clap slash snare fall by the wayside. But other than that, super solid, groovy, twonk, twerk, trap vibes. All right, we got time for one more roast. This better be good. Here we have Serhi Dovin. I don't know. It's called Whale's Dream. Surge. Surge, my brother boy. Whale's Dream. Let's hope it's not 20 minutes. Cool. All right. Nice cover, man. Here we have Surge Dovina. Dub. I don't know. Wow, what a soothing way to end this live stream. Thank you, Serge, with Whale's Dream. Honestly, I don't really have much to say about that. whenever somebody sends me a track that is weirder than usual, it's harder for me to roast because I have less of a reference point with what you're trying to do. But yeah, super solid, man. One thing I noticed was that the kick was a little bit overdriven. You could tell at the end that it sounded like it was clipping a little bit. Once again, could be an artistic thing. I don't know. But anyways, if I didn't get to roasting your guys' track, I deeply apologize. I only have so much time. If you'd like to a guaranteed roasting one-on-one, please don't hesitate to sign up for a private lesson with your boy. First orientation is free. We just roast each other, talk about what you'd like to get out of our lessons together, and then schedule a time and a curriculum that will allow you to get you to where you want to be in your beat. So don't hesitate to sign up for a private lesson with me. The link is in the video description. If you're so kind, please follow me on Spotify. I need to get verified so I can change my profile picture into something more flattering. That would be really appreciated. If you could just take 2 seconds and click that follow button, I would be forever grateful. Thank you guys so much once again for coming through for this live stream. I really appreciate it. Once again, super sorry if I didn't get to your track. Feel free to sign up for the private lesson for a guaranteed roasting. Next Thursday, I will be doing a video on reverb, so get psyched for that, brothers and sisters. And yeah, thank you guys so much. Have a beautiful rest of your Sunday. All right, peace out.